Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Nittai Gauranga Jayo Nittai Gauranga Nittai Gauranga Jayo Nittai Gauranga Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 1, Text number 22. Please repeat after me. Puraiva pumsa vadrutho dharajvaro. Oh, what is the meter for this? How do you sing this properly? That's a better one. Puraiva pumsa vadruto dharajvaro. Puraiva pumsa vadruto dharajvaro. Bhavadbhir amshe yadushu pajanyatam. Bhavabdiramshair yadushu pajanyatam. Sayavadurya urya bharam ishvareshwaraha. Sayavadurya parameshwareshwaraha. Swakala shaktya kshapayam charet bhuvi. Swakala shaktya kshapayam charet bhuvi. Reva pumsa vadruto jarajvaro. Namshe yadupushmayantayatam. Puraiva pumsa vadruta dharajvaro. Namshe yadupushmayantayatam. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Pura, even before this. Eva, indeed. Pumsa, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Avadhrutaha, was certainly known. Dharajvaraha, the distress on the earth. Bhavadbhihi, by your good selves. Amshaihi, expanding as plenary portions. Yadushu, in the family of King Yadu. Upajanyatam, take your birth and appear there. Saha, he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yavat, as long as. Urvyaha, of the earth. Bharam, the burden. Ishvara Ishvaraha, the Lord of Lords. Swakala Shaktya, by his own potency, the time factor. Kshapayan, diminishing. Charet, should move. Bhuvi, on the surface of the earth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, He was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by His own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.39, Ramardi Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Narsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well. But who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna and who incarnates personally also? In this verse also from Srimad Bhagavatam, we find the words Puraiva Pumsa Vadruto Dharajvaraha. The word Pumsa refers to Krishna, who was already aware of how the whole world was suffering because of the increase of demons. Without reference to the supreme power of the personality of Godhead, demons assert themselves to be independent kings and presidents. Thus they create a disturbance by increasing their military power. I can't hear myself. Can you please tell them to go to some other room, like Govinda room or Gopinath room? It's just too loud for me. It's very pleasant, wonderful, but that's why my attraction is going over there. When such disturbances are very prominent, Krishna appears. At present also, various demoniac states are all over the world are increasing their military power in many ways, and the whole situation has become distressful. Therefore, Krishna has appeared by his name in the Hare Krishna movement, which will certainly diminish the burden of the world. Philosophers, religionists, and people in general must take to this movement very seriously, for man-made plans and devices will not help bring peace on earth. The transcendental sound Hare Krishna is not different from the person Krishna. Nama Chinta Manih Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Bhinnatvan Nama Namino. Padma Purana. There is no difference between the sound Hare Krishna and Krishna, the person. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods shall appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. So we see here the demigods headed by Lord Brahma are trying to get the message from Kshirodikshaya Vishnu. They're standing on the bank of the ocean of milk. And the procedure for getting guidance from Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is that first the demigods go to Brahma, and Brahma, as the foremost living entity in this universe, he is the only one who can communicate with Vishnu. And it's very interesting. In the previous few verses, I'll just read how this communication happens also. After reaching the shore of the ocean of milk, the demigods worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the Master of the whole universe, the Supreme God of all gods, who provides for everyone and diminishes everyone's suffering. With great attention, they worship Lord Vishnu, who lies on the ocean of milk, by reciting the Vedic mantras known as the Purusha Sukta. So they recite the Purusha Sukta mantra. Then how does God respond? Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. How does Vishnu respond? Within whose heart? Only Brahma's heart. See, that's the important. While in trance, Lord Brahma heard the words of Lord Vishnu vibrating in the sky. So he could hear what only he could hear. Thus he told the demigods, O demigods, hear from me the order of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, the Supreme Person, and execute it attentively without delay. Right? So, there are a few interesting things over here. The Lord already knew what their intention is. Before we submitted our petition to the Lord, He was already aware of the distress on earth. Yesterday, we were reading from the Transcendental Diary, Srila Prabhupada's pastimes, and very similar thing came over there. So I thought I'll read a little bit from that and relate with this. Prabhupada is having this conversation with his devotees. He's saying, referring to our human propensity to make plans for happiness, Prabhupada differentiated between the results of modern education and the knowledge coming from Krishna. So this abodha jataha, this rascal civilization, whatever they're planning, whatever they're doing, that is simply defeat. He does not know what is the aim of life. They are being defeated. This life, I have become Prime Minister, making so many plans and so many things and so many things. Next life, I become a dog. That you cannot check. God's law or nature's law will not take account of your premiership, prime ministership. What you are actually, that is nature's law. Krishna is there within your heart. Outwardly, you become a very big man, minister, president, and so on. And God is seeing within what you are. Within. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hruddeshe arjuna tishtati. Bhagavad Gita 18.61. Within you are a dog, and outside if you are a president, that will not help you. Therefore, whatever plan they are making, that's all defeat. Very interesting conversation. And this is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's direct message. And is actually, Prabhupada has, he was talking of a particular Prime Minister of India. Anyway, we won't talk about, we don't have to name names, everybody knows who it is. And because there was an article that had come, and Prabhupada had commented on it. One astrologer had predicted that one erstwhile Prime Minister had passed away, and he had been born as a dog in Switzerland. In a woman's house, there was another dog was there in the house. Like that, there was very clear this thing. And you can see here when Prabhupada is talking about it, it's saying, you externally you might be one thing. Internally, if your consciousness is that of a dog, Paramatma in the heart will create the situation for you to enjoy as you have desired and you deserve. Right? That is desiring and deserving. When we say the Paramatma in the heart has two primary functions. What are they? Upadrishta, Anumanta. Right? As Upadrishta, the Paramatma is constantly and consistently waiting and writing down like what exactly is going on in your heart, what are your desires and all those things. As Anumanta, he is sanctioning the desires based on, again, what you desire and what you deserve in that current situation. So, this is a very important aspect that has a lot of implications for devotees. Right? We as devotees of the Lord, we have to maintain that sort of clarity in our heart, and have a proper connection between what is going on internally and what we are presenting externally. This actually is a very interesting thing. When small children, 3 years, 4 years, you go ask them something. How is this? This is nice. No, this is not nice. How do I look? They'll say, you don't look nice. They may even say, you look a little fat in this. You go ask the same thing to a grown-up person. Do you think they'll ever say that? They will say, what will this person think? What is that? What will how they will respond? There is a disconnect that forms between what actually you are thinking, what is the truth, and what you tell outside. This actually is a dichotomy that has consequences for spiritualists. In outside behavior, it is okay. In one sense, you can remain silent. You don't have to express your feelings, or you express the truth that is palatable to the point it's palatable, and just leave it at that. Because you don't have to say everything to everybody. Right? But because this is the unfortunate reality. The outside world, the whole world is created around. There is a facade that's created. You hear the word facade? Sometimes when they're shooting movies, Have you seen, like, any of you have seen movie sets like they show in Disney, MGM studios and all that? Anybody, how many, any of you seen this? You look at the front, it looks like a building, but just there's a facade only. Back is all empty. From the front, you take angles and shots, they would have created windows also, everything. It looks exactly like a building. It's called a facade. So like that, modern civilization, there is a facade that is created between who you are and what you tell. Right? Right from childhood, this is created, and then it becomes worse and worse as time goes by. Inside the heart, like Prabhupada is telling, what is going on is dog mentality. Outside, big things you're talking. We hear this like in companies, they'll say, oh, we care so much about you. There is so much of this thing. Because I happened to be at the sort of the forefront of this employee experience and all these things that are the companies do. Something I'm working on is a product that one of the big companies sells for a lot of the worldwide companies on employee experience well-being. During the pandemic, when the pandemic was going on, companies were expanding, they were hiring people left and right. So during that time, there was shortage of people. So everybody, all companies, when we talk to CHROs and this thing, oh, well-being, this, that. And then after that, the economic downturn started, right? And then companies started laying off. Overnight, hardly 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the downturn happened, big meetings and this thing. Productivity. Shift from well-being to productivity. Now, productivity is code word for how many people are there, what are they doing, kind of a thing. So, like, internally something else is going on. Externally, you will tell why you want them to feel happy and want to keep these people over there. If we do that at the societal level, right? We do that at this thing, and we do that at the individual level as well. We do that in our interaction with people. And then you start doing that at the interaction between yourself and people. There are, sometimes they call delusional, we say them. Some people are externally clearly delusional. Some are unfortunate, victims of their own delusion. And some are there are a few people, not many, who are very calculatedly, they're always trying to keep a show for outside. And as devotees, this is something we can very easily notice. That person may think that they don't know, but everybody else knows what is going on. This is very detrimental to our spiritual life. Because we do not recognize what our challenges are, what our opportunities are, and we don't ask for help. We're not asking for help of the Supreme Lord, who's sitting right in your heart. You can make a story for everybody, but you cannot make a story for the Paramatma in your heart. Right? And that is the beauty as well. In fact, this can be a source of so much of happiness and hope for all of us. If we are able to recognize and say, oh Krishna, please help me. Oh Paramatma, this is the problem I'm dealing with. Can you please help me become a better person? Can you please help me emulate the qualities that Vaishnavas are supposed to have? Help me live a spiritual life that is worthy of being your servant. Right? How can I behave in a way worthy of being the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That sincere desire, the Lord will recognize and reciprocate. We see here the Lord Vishnu universally is recognizing what is going on, the pain and suffering that living entities in this world are experiencing. And he already had a plan in mind. And this petitioning that was going on was a formal invitation, formal request for help that happened. We see from the different the historical references in Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord's reciprocation of what is going on in devotees' hearts. In the Bhagavatam, there is a story of Dhruva Maharaj, right? He was just a 5-year-old boy, young boy, who had been disturbed by his stepmother's, strong words, and then he had developed a desire to acquire a position, a kingdom that was bigger than his father's and his grandfather's. Right? Manu, bigger than that. And so we see, as he, with determination, when he sets out to the forest to seek the Lord arranged for his dearmost devotee, Narada Muni, to go and guide him on the path. And so he comes across Narada Muni, and we all know the story of how he was first tested. Are you really serious? And Narada Muni said, you are a small child. Take a little this thing. No, I'll tell you what the path is, but don't need to do now. Go home now. When you grow up and all that, then you can come back. But he said, no, I have to do right now. I have to go. He was determined. And seeing his determination, Narada Muni guided him on what to do. And then the Supreme Lord himself appeared. And when the Lord appeared and touched Dhruva Maharaj with his conch shell, that touch completely purified him. And by that time, he had already said, he had already become a pure devotee, and he had no desires. Varam na yache, swamin kritotosmi, varam na yache. Which in one, I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but I have found a diamond. But the Lord, as Paramatma, he knew his desire, but he still wanted to fulfill it, and he said, it's all right. I know you want to now just worship me and nothing else, but I will have a task for you. I have created this Dhruva Loka, which is a very special place, and I want you to rule over there. And we know that later, after Dhruva Maharaj returned and everything, Dhruva Maharaj was actually feeling that as a punishment. See, I could have gone back to Godhead immediately, and now I have to sit here for thousands of years of celestial this thing, being head of all of these things. The Lord, Dhruva Maharaj did not want it, because he truly wanted this thing. There is another very interesting pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of the Lord's interactions with Murari Gupta. What was Murari Gupta famous for? His devotion to Lord Ramachandra. Right? I'll read a few verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita of the Lord's interactions with Murari Gupta. This comes in the Madhya Leela, chapter 15. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, previously I induced Murari Gupta again and again to be allured by Lord Krishna. I said to him, my dear Gupta, Lord Sri Krishna, Rajendra Kumara is the supreme sweetness. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the origin of all incarnations and the source of everything. He is pure transcendental love itself and is the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. He is like a mine of gems. He is expert at everything, very intelligent and sober, and is the summit of all transcendental humors. His character is very sweet, and his pastimes are melodious. He is expert in intelligence, and thus he enjoys all his pastimes and mellows. I therefore requested Murari Gupta, worship Krishna and take shelter of him. But for his service, nothing appeals to the mind. In this way, he heard from me again and again. By my influence, his mind was a little converted. Murari Gupta then replied, I am your servant and your order carrier. I have no independent existence. Right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knew his devotion to Lord Ramachandra, but he kept, preaching to him, saying, no, you should worship Krishna. He is the supreme, reservoir of all sweetness. And this time, he was very direct. He had told this many times, but this time he said, no, you should worship Krishna. And Murari Gupta said, no problem. Whatever you say, because you are my master, how can I say no to you? After this, Murari Gupta went home and spent the whole night thinking how he would have to give up the association of Raghunatha, Lord Ramachandra. Thus he was overwhelmed. Murari Gupta then began to pray at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. He prayed that death would come that night because it was not possible for him to give up the service of the lotus feet of Raghunatha. Outwardly he said, oh Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever you say is most important for me. I'll follow you. But look at his torment. Inwardly he is tormented. I told one thing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but something else is there in my heart. This is a very subtle thing. It was not trying to deceive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or this thing. It is both the devotion to the Supreme Lord only. But look at the, how the devotees of the Lord, there's only one thing that's going on in the heart and one thing they're expressing outside. Right? He's telling, I told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I told him, no, yes, from tomorrow I'll worship only Krishna. But in my heart, I have only attraction for Lord Ramachandra. How can I give you up, right? Then he said, thus Murari Gupta cried the entire night. There was no rest for his mind, and therefore he could not sleep, but stayed awake the entire night. In the morning, Murari Gupta came to see me. Catching hold of my feet and crying, he submitted an appeal. Murari Gupta said, I have sold my head unto the lotus feet of Raghunatha. I cannot withdraw my head, for that would give me too much pain. Is it not possible for me? It is not possible for me to give up the service of Raghunatha's lotus feet. At the same time, if I do not do so, I shall break your order. What can I do? In this way, Murari Gupta appealed to me, saying, you are all merciful, so kindly grant me this mercy. Let me die before you, so that all my doubts will be finished. Hearing this, I became very happy. I then raised Murari Gupta and embraced him. I said to him, all glories to you, Murari Gupta. Your method of worship is very firmly fixed. So much so that even upon my request, your mind did not turn. The servitor must have love and affection for the lotus feet of the Lord exactly like this. Even if the Lord wants separation, a devotee cannot abandon the shelter of his lotus feet. Just to test your firm faith in your Lord, I requested you again and again to change your worship from Lord Ramachandra to Krishna. In this way, I congratulated Murari Gupta, saying, "Indeed, you are the incarnation of Hanuman. Consequently, you are the eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra. Why should you give up the worship of Lord Ramachandra and his lotus feet?" Right? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "I accept this Murari Gupta as my life and soul. When I hear of his humility, it perturbs my very life." Right? So we see here how the Lord's interaction with his devotees, how there is this importance of maintaining, sometimes we use the word intellectual integrity. Right? When you say integrity, right, means you stand by what you say, whatever the consequences are, and you show your integrity. So like this, we have to show our intellectual integrity in understanding our situation and praying to the Lord and begging for his mercy, so that we can get the right help we need. Because many things, Krishna says very clearly, "Ye tam mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham." You have to ask certain things. If you don't ask, see, sometimes that is why we may have some internally we are not liberated today, right? In our current situation, we have our material, aspirations and attachments and attractions, and we have some material desires. We try to dovetail some, we try to control some desires, we try to dovetail others, and we try to sublimate our desires in the service of the Lord. But we should, in all situations, have that integrity of desire, of what is in our heart and what we externally request of the Lord for and his devotees for help, and then the right help comes at the right time. It is, I think, time for Darshanarthi, but we can take maybe one or two questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments? What is that? Bhavagrahi Janardhan, yes. Yeah. That's a very good point. Because you see, the Lord knows within our heart what is going on. And we have all these material desires we are asking. we may not ask him, but we are continuously experiencing it. That is written down. When we ask for mercy, sometimes, we may not be pure devotees, but we should have prayers of the pure devotees. Right? That's why, as part of like daily prayers, you say, many devotees will all pray and say, "Oh Lord, somehow keep me at your lotus feet in the association of Vaishnavas. Right? Let me develop pure devotional service unto you." Because today we are not. And when we explicitly ask this, we may not even fully desire it, but we partially desire it. When you ask, the Lord takes that into cognizance and he responds with us. And when we have material desires also, we should say, "Oh Lord, if you so desire, please sanction this for me." That much, at least we should add the word "if you so desire." And if you do not desire, if you think that is not good for me, it is okay if you don't sanction. That is a explicit understanding. Implicit understanding. But even that the devotees are afraid. Oh, what if I say that? Everything you'll take away. That's why, right? We keep saying, Krishna, Krishna, when we Lord Shiva and Krishna, Vishnu's comparative. Lord Shiva's wife is Parvati Devi, who is the controller of the entire universe. But he himself lives in a cemetery or lives in in the forest without any this thing. No opulence, nothing. He doesn't even have a home. In contrast, Lord Vishnu is the most opulent Lord. Wherever he lives, wherever he is, he is here. In Dwaraka, 60,000 palaces. In Vaikuntha, huge opulence in this thing. But his devotees are always pauper. Sometimes that's why people think, oh, I should be careful, otherwise I will lose what I have. But still we should ask and we should desire. And the Lord will find the right pathway for us to go back home, back to God. That's why we say akamo sarva kama va moksha kama. Does not matter. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham. We'll stop here. Krantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Bol Premanande.